So, I'm going to talk a little bit about my new attitude towards name changes and towards having the NFT name. Because my old attitude was I'm doing this in honor of Russell Lawrence Lee. Let's celebrate, let's promote, let's invest, let's brag, let's strut. I am the N word, the super N word, even, which was never fundamentally my mindset, but it is how I approached the name. Now I'm older and I've been through the ringer a few times. I've cut my teeth. I've learned my lessons. And so, what is it going to be craze, F the drug war, NFT? What will that mean for me? What will I do with it? Now, first off, the answer is nothing. It's going to be in the background. I'll bring it up when someone else brings it up and I have to respond. Other than that, unless it's making a big wave with somebody, I'm going to ignore it. But if it does make a wave or somebody else brings it up, the content of my name is not happy and joyous and prideful. It's deeply shameful and embarrassing. My attempts at celebration of offensive names fell short because nobody wanted to celebrate with me, because nobody trusted me morally enough to associate with me. So in the future, I don't see why it'll be any different. So instead of celebrating my name, most likely I will mourn it. I will discuss my embarrassing name, my shameful name, my humiliating name, my inappropriate name, my family legacy dirt, the fecal powder of my label. That's what it will be for me in the future. And that changes things. One, I think it'll be more successful because it'll be disarming. People won't be afraid of my pride, but instead empathetic and commiserating towards my deep self-hatred. It'll be self-deprecating, but there's something more than that. It'll also be challenging because I won't be able to be dismissed as a proud white man who therefore intrinsically expresses white pride. Now, that's never been my explicit ideology. White pride is not my thing. Race is not my thing. But I get it. If you want to have race as your thing, sometimes I'm on board for that and I will support you. But it's forced upon every person that they are a race. And whenever they do something, they inhabit that racial characteristic within our culture. And the white characteristic in our culture is deeply negative. White supremacy, white pride, white nationalism, white separatism, all of these are bad things, as if being white is a bad thing. And that makes some sense. If you look at the spectrum of light waves, you want to avoid microwaves because you can microwave your body and die. But you definitely want to avoid the rays that the sun sends at you. If you stare at the sun, you'll go blind eventually. And gamma rays are the biggest threat to killing a person from the spectrum. They will kill you very quickly if you or injure you severely. Gamma rays disrupt cell activity. Microwaves heat water, and we are mostly water. So I don't know whether dark or light is better, but in our culture, white is bad. And so yellow people are not celebrated as much. And that's okay with me because race is not my thing. Again, I think we're all equal. But I will be able to work within the context of having white skin being a morally questionable position to reside in our culture, I will cooperate with that narrative. And doing so, I think, will make me more successful. And the more successful I get, the more that narrative will discover itself in my language and ideology. And the more I become a race traitor. But again, race is not my thing. So I don't have any allegiance with which to be a traitor. It's just not the way that I want to think about the world. But if I do think about it, I think of race victims more than I think of race placement. I think race placement is unfair, and race victimhood is unfair, but tragically, historically, quite true. What's my point? I also think that that's all mixed, like the record in history is mixed there, because there was incredible victimology among white people throughout history as well. So I'm not fully on board for white shame, and I don't feel white guilt. I just didn't do anything. But in my life, I have screwed over the N words, the F words, and the T suffixes in my own way. And so there are black people out there, there are disabled people out there that simply don't like me for what I think are legitimate reasons. Now, there aren't any gay people that have legitimate reasons to dislike me, in my opinion, but there are F words, if we're going to use a homophobic slur. Somebody that forgives you for flinging water on their face, like on their chest, that person is, by definition, a homophobic F word if we're going to use slang. It's a nice position to be in, but I have taken advantage of that forgiveness for personal ends. And I will continue to do so sometime into the future because I don't know when genuine forgiveness is possible when you're dealing with a homophobic F word. But again, just like racially, I don't want to think in terms of heteronormative stereotypes. I just don't want to. But I have to because of the culture that I live in. My culture has a proud tradition, I'm sad to say, of thinking in stereotypes. It's how we think, which just sucks. But it's real. So that's how I will deal with my name in the future, and it is different than the past. So hopefully my results will be different than they were in the past. And more than anything, I hope myself will be different than I was in the past. That I hope that I will be a less reckless person, a more honorable person, a person you would be more eager to align yourself with, to promote, to take advantage with, and to join and to vote for, right? Like ideally, someday I'd be in Congress. That's about as high as I can imagine rising. But I could rise that high, and that would be a huge honor for me. Because at the end of the day, just like race and heteronormative stereotypes, our stupid legislative stereotypes and American BS positioning is a thing in my head. It's unfair. I do not believe that democracy is our ideal way of organizing our society fundamentally. I think meritocracy or something having to do with intellicracy, where you have smartocracy, where you organize the society in a way that's more intelligent. I just feel like that's better than our current system, but I'm stuck. I have the brain that they gave me. This is me using it. I'm so sorry it took another 10 minutes, man. Thank you for watching. I'm so sorry.